Brian Wells. August 28, 2003, in Erie, Pennsylvania. A call came into the Mamma Mia pizzeria about 1:30 p.m. The customer lived on the edge of town. Even though it was near the end of his shift, 46-year-old Brian Wells headed out with the order. When Brian arrived to the address on Peach Street, it wasn't a house. It was a television transmission tower. Two men strapped a homemade bomb around Brian's neck. He was given several pages of handwritten instructions and a shotgun fashioned to look like a cane. Brian was sent to the PNC Bank at 2:20 p.m. with a note that demanded $250,000 and gave the teller a time limit of 15 minutes. Brian was informed that there was no way they could get the vault open in so little a time. The teller gave him $8,701. A little after 2:30 p.m., Brian left the bank, grabbing a lollipop on the way out the door. The bank contacted the police, who saw Brian by his car and arrested him. Police handcuffed Brian and contacted the bomb squad at 3:04 p.m. Brian told the police that time was running out. A crowd started to form, trying to figure out what was going on. Approximately 15 minutes later, the bomb began to beep. It exploded, killing Brian instantly as the crowd watched and video cameras rolled. The bomb squad arrived 3 minutes later. The letter in Brian's car turned out to be a scavenger hunt that allegedly led to the keys and combination to unlock the bomb around his neck. Police followed the clues in the note and determined that there was no way that Brian could have finished it in time. Police were at a loss as to who had done this until William Rothstein contacted them. He said they would find a body in the freezer at his home. He lived next to the television tower where Brian had arrived with the pizza order. He told police that he had been so distraught that he had attempted suicide. The first line of a suicide note found in his home said that he had nothing to do with Brian's death. This was the first indication to police that the two crimes were linked. When questioned by police, Williams said the body in his freezer belonged to James Roden. He was the current boyfriend of Williams' ex-fiancée, Marjorie Deal Armstrong. He claimed that Marjorie had killed James and then asked William to help her hide the body. Police arrested Marjorie, who confessed to Brian's murder and implicated William. She was convicted and sentenced to 20 years for James's murder. Another man, Kenneth Barnes, was implemented in the crime. He was a friend of Marjorie's and placed himself at the scene when the bomb was strapped to Brian's neck. Marjorie and Kenneth were charged with Brian's murder. It was stated openly in court that Brian was a participant in the plot. His family does not believe this to be the truth. Marjorie and Kenneth were convicted of conspiracy, carrying a firearm during a crime of violence, and armed bank robbery. William died of cancer before he could be brought to trial. Marjorie died on April 4, 2017 at the age of 68. Kenneth is currently serving 270 months and will be released in 2027. Jessica Hoopsick was a prostitute that Brian would give drugs in exchange for sex. She claimed that she suggested him to Kenneth, who gave her $5,000. She was never charged in the crime. One other possible co-conspirator was Floyd Stockton. He may have had information that he traded to the FBI for immunity. However, he was never called to testify at any trial. Floyd is said to have admitted to being the person who actually locked the bomb on Brian's neck. Three days after Brian's death, Rob Panetti, who was also a delivery driver for Mamma Mia and a friend of Brian's, died in his home of a drug overdose. He was scheduled to be questioned by police the following day. Floyd was his roommate. Please visit www.ican'tbelieveitsnonfiction.com. And don't forget to subscribe.